You're from Missouri. Your question is, if a parent requests to observe their child in a special education room and the district has a policy that provides parent observations per district policy. However, the district would not allow the parent to observe their child in the room requested individualized instruction for math and reading, stating other children with disabilities are present. There is no time available to observe the student with a special education teacher. The district did not offer any other option before school or after school or a non-disclosure form, which, by the way, you don't need. The parents or members of the IEP team denied parent rights in order to make educational decisions for their child. What are the possible options in this case? You know, and it's difficult to sit there and answer questions like this, because you sit there and you go, well, what are the options? What do I do? Well, you know, unfortunately, the school's wrong, and what they told you was absolute and utter horseshit. Okay, and sorry, I spoke Italian there. Why? Because, guys, in the 1970s, the Supreme Court said that public schools do not have an expectation of privacy. There is no expectation of privacy within a public school. It is a public school. So therefore, this whole lie, it's a gross lie that is being told to all parents, that is believed by a lot of school staff, because they rattled this off because somebody above them, you know, the Oz, you know, behind the curtain told them that there's privacy, and you need to tell parents that there's privacy, and that you know, parents aren't allowed in the hallways or in instructional settings because of privacy. It is absolute total crap. It is not true. It is a public school. There is no expectation of privacy. Now you sit there and you go, well, what about FERPA? What about FERPA? That's a Federal Education Records Protection Act. Okay? Records. Not viewing, not seeing, not hearing instruction going on. That is absolutely nonsensical. Now, if a school had a child's IEP hanging on a wall for all to see, then they would be in violation of FERPA. Okay? Not the parents walking in the hallways. They wouldn't be violating FERPA. FERPA doesn't apply to parents. FERPA applies to the education entity. And it only applies to the records. And do you know what I find interesting? Is that each teacher has to sign a records access. So technically, this teacher on the other side of the school that has nothing to do with this child's program shouldn't be having access to this student's IEP or any knowledge of this student's program on the other side. So technically, if it's really truly about student privacy, this employee shouldn't be able to see this kid over here, because this kid has records and this kid has an IEP program. You see how nonsensical it is? Just because the sheer fact that they're an employee of the system doesn't mean crap. Because in order for them to access and look at and view your child's records, they have to fill out the freaking form. And their name has to be written that they access this child's records. Have you not been in IEP meetings before, people? Think about it. So to sit there and expand this out to where, you know, I just can't walk down, you just can't hear instruction. Nonsense. Nonsense. Or you can't be around children, it's privacy. Really? Because kids are outside playing, I can see them. Oh, there's one. Oh, there's some. Field trips, oh, I can see kids, or an official school function. Oh my God. Extracurricular activities, school plays. You know, I see teachers all the time. And I hate to tell you, but a lot of parent volunteers that go in there, they don't sign some kind of non-disclosure. I guess if some of them, I've heard that happening in some schools, but they're only doing the non-disclosure because if you hear the screaming going on, or you see things going on that aren't appropriate, they just don't want you talking about it. And, first of all, there's no penalty. They can't sit there and that's quite unenforceable. All they do is sit there and not let you come back. And I've seen that happen a million times. See, they expect privacy from their own people, not from you. They don't want you in the school because you're going to be able to see things they don't want you to see. You might see things that they do not want you to report to other people, whether it's on social media, whether it's to other parents. That is really the true nature of why administration has invented this fiction that they don't like parents inside of schools. Even though you pay for them, even though you own them, even though if you live within your jurisdiction, that school board is supposed to answer to you. We still have a local bottom-up education system in this country. It's not a top-down, it's a bottom-up. And I think people have forgotten about that. I see more people getting involved with regards to their local school board. And I think that's good. But guys, you've allowed it to go on too long. And now these school boards, they're just irritated by you. Now all of a sudden people are showing up and raising hell. These people need to be fired. All of you need to run for school board. You need to get rid of the current class, our current ruling class, guys. And that's from the bottom all the way to the top. I don't care if you're a Republican, don't care if you're a Democrat. They all need to go. Everybody needs to go. Everybody. Even the good ones. Now, why do I say that? Because you didn't stand up and let everybody else know how crooked everybody else was. You just sort of were there and trying to go along to get along. And you didn't have the moral fortitude to sit there and stand up and say, that's it, guys, you're nuts. I'm going to the media. I'm letting everybody know. I'm screaming from the rooftops how wrong this stuff is. Instead of going, well, you got to negotiate and, little baby steps. No, these little baby steps, guys, because the bad people, they've taken 5 steps, and our little baby steps to sit there and try to hold ground with regards to the morality in this country and truth, justice, and all those things. We've taken 5, 10 steps back, and these little baby steps of goodness, to sit there and try to hold the ground. We've lost this country. It's our fault. So I blame myself as well. All right. So I'm not sitting there scrutinizing anybody. Fully cognizant of, what mess I'm handing over to my children. I guess at least I'm still fighting. All right. Okay. So, at the end of the day, what can you do? You just need to go with confidence that that there is no expectation of privacy, that FERPA only pertains to records, not instruction, not them talking about things, not them instructing children. That's nonsense. Unless that teacher is handing you a copy of another child's IEP, there is no FERPA violations. No such thing. None. There's cameras all over the place inside schools. In some states, there's cameras within special education environments, which there should be everywhere, with parent access. Every year you give consent for your child to be recorded. And a lot of the documentation that you just don't ever read. See, nobody ever reads anything. That's why everybody, in our COVID world with regards to these vaccines are just so lax, because we just clicked and signed consent without reading the fine print. It's so incredibly stupid, guys. So incredibly stupid. That was free legal advice. So incredibly stupid. Read the fine print. So you've given permission for them to record your child. Okay. I can tell you right now that if I get a video, let's say of a student fight or whatever, they have no requirement under FERPA to sit there and shade out the other children that were around. They don't. There's a common area that there's no FERPA. That's not an education record. So therefore there's no privacy attached to it. You see what I'm saying? So they're hoodwinking you and they're BSing you as a mechanism not to have you see probably the bad instruction going on, the lack of instruction going on, See, you're an irritation to them. And that's what parents need to understand. You have become an irritation to them. There shouldn't be a them. There shouldn't be an us. There should be all of us. But unfortunately, I can't do anything about the fact that many people within the education realm view parents as an irritation, as an obstacle to them going in and doing their job and getting a paycheck. And they can't handle the scrutiny. Now, I'm not talking about every teacher, and I'm not talking about every administrator. There are very good ones out there that don't care. Very open book, very transparent. I'm talking about the other ones. And in this particular case, your situation. So it's sort of understanding that and then firing back with some assertiveness that you educated yourself and what they're selling you is a bunch of bunk. You know, there's no real legal mechanism outside of that, because what they're doing isn't legal. But have they injured your child or to the point where you have some kind of mechanism legally to give you access? No, unfortunately not. Not unless they denied your child a FAPE and you have to sit there and file due process. But just mere observations, there's no real mechanism, legal mechanism to sit there and have them reverse their stupid policy. Maybe one thing you do is you sit there and you go to your board member and you say, look, I've been fed a line of crap. There's no expectation of privacy within public schools. The Supreme Court's already ruled on that. And then FERPA only applies to education records, doesn't apply to hallways and even hearing instruction. It's just nonsense. And not only that is, I don't know if it's still true for Every Student Succeeds Act. I think it is. But under Title I, if it's a Title I school, depending on where they are with regards to your yearly standardized testing, you know, whether it's a school in need or whatever, there are mechanisms within ESSA that also expands a parent's ability to observe. All right.